Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Son of a Blitch podcast. I'm your host, George Blitch, and today I got a special treat for you. I just had an interview with the band Princess Goes. You guys may have formerly known them as Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum, and they are just amazing, amazing artists. They have a new album called Come of Age that just dropped earlier this month, and right now they're about to embark on their first leg of the U.S. tour. They just did a UK European tour and just wrapped that up. We talk a little bit about that and kind of what's to be expected and maybe what songs you're going to be hearing from them on the new U.S. Tour. Obviously, they had their first album, Thanks for Coming. They have a self-titled EP, so they have 30 to 40 songs that they're choosing from and playing. They also have a VIP experience. So if you guys are going to go and check them out while they're on tour, definitely for I think it's like $100. You go ahead and meet the band. You get an acoustic performance. I think you get a signed poster as well, and a chance to get some pictures with them as well. So hey, it sounds like a heck of a deal. I strongly suggest you guys check that out. I'll have all the links below for you guys to check out their music and to learn more about their tour. For those who aren't familiar, I wanted to tell you about a little bit the band members. Michael C. Hall is the singer. You guys might have known him from his time on Broadway. He's been a part of Hedwig, which is where the entire band met. Lazarus with David Bowie. He's also been an actor in many shows. You guys might know him as when he played the character Dexter or David Fisher in 6 Feet Under. Matt Katz Bowen is the keyboardist, bassist, guitarist, the guitarist. He has written music and toured with Blondie. He's done a lot of amazing, amazing work. And obviously, Peter Yenowitz, the drummer, he's played with the Wallflowers, Natalie Merchant, Morningwood. And again, all three of them were working with Hedwig when they first met and decided to form a band, or rather, the band formed them, however you want to look at it. But guys, I really want you to check out Come of Age. This album is amazing. I think it's a culmination of a lot of their experiences and talents working together, and it's just a mind-blowing record. And definitely go check out Thanks for Coming and their EP. I think you should get them all and start absorbing them and go see them on tour. So once again, guys, enjoy this podcast with Princess Goes. And without further ado, here we are. Hey, fellas, welcome. I'd like to start off by saying congratulations on your amazing new album, Come of Age, your second full-length album. It came out earlier this month, and it's a great record. I know you guys just got back from a 10-date tour, played all across the UK, Paris, Germany, Netherlands. While it's still fresh in your mind, I wanted to maybe ask each of you, what were some of your favorite moments and memorable experiences from that tour?
Playing in Paris was pretty great, as you mentioned, because a lot of them don't speak any English, and they just would come up to us and start speaking French, which we don't really speak, not hardly at all. But it was still very sweet because you could tell we all felt the love, I think, and it was very sweet, in spite of what they say.
Had you been in Paris before, personally?
Yeah,
I have a couple times. Yeah. But it's an amazing thing to go to a club that odds are you'd never otherwise visit, with a room full of people you'd otherwise never see and will likely not see again, and share this sort of 90 minutes and have the experience that some of them are familiar with your music and like it, or it means something to them. I mean, it's really gratifying.
Yeah. What about you, Peter? What was the experiences that maybe caught your attention and your memory?
we played on some bit like in the Netherlands. We played twice in Utrecht, and we played. The second show was on this really big stage in an orchestra hall called the Tivoli, where like the Stones have played and Nick Cave, and we were part of this Dutch poetry night, this was one of the random shows on tour that we got added after we had booked the whole tour. They asked us to come back for 5 songs at this Dutch poetry night. That it was based on an event that Allen Ginsberg kind of spearheaded in Amsterdam. I think maybe in the 70s, called Dutch Poetry Night, with all the famous Dutch poets and other poets and musicians. And so that was a really cool highlight. We played on a big stage in front of more people than I think we've ever played. And also in London, we played at this amazing place called Earth, with another ginormous stage. When we walked in, it was an old, dilapidated movie theater that had probably had different uses over the years, and it looked like something out of like Clockwork Orange or something, but that was also a gigantic place. Sounded like a gigantic place, but a beautiful visual place. I mean, we had as much stage in front of us as we did behind us, so it was like we were on like a football field, it felt like. And it makes for really cool, I think we played in some little dive bars on this tour. We played in some big, spectacular places like the last two. So it's just, yeah, like Mike said, it's just cool to go somewhere, and people know our songs and are singing. And, we got to meet a bunch of fans this time, and that made it really kind of special and always cheered us up.
Well, and you guys are about to embark on your first leg of the U.S. tour. And from what I understand, you guys are kind of going to do it in little segments, maybe, 10 or 12 shows at a time, take a break, go back to the families, and then kind of regroup and do the next leg. And during that tour, you guys are doing a VIP kind of meet and greet. Can you kind of talk a little bit about the reasoning of, maybe wanting to do these in like shorter legs? I assume there's probably some burnout that you don't want to hit, but also maybe if you want to talk a little bit about that VIP experience and what that may offer for your fans.
Yeah, no, I think you put it very well. I think I have two kids who are in school. Mike has a kid. I think we need to, we don't want to be away from them too long. And yeah, it's kind of a beautiful thing to be able to go and play a few shows and then come back home and just do it like that. And yeah, as far as the VIP experience, we play a song for them, and then we get to meet them, offer some life advice. Peter has some really good one-liners, and we take photos with them, and yeah, it's just kind of a love fest. It's a really nice time.
That's great. That's great. Well, thinking about that tour that's coming up, I was very curious about your set lists. Obviously, you guys have two full-length albums. You have an EP, self-titled, and I was just kind of curious: is it kind of equally spread throughout your discography there, or is there something that you guys is it evolving and changing? I think I saw a notes on one of your interviews with a gentleman either from the Netherlands or from Paris, and there's things scratched out and rearranged stuff. So I was kind of curious: is there what that looks like? Is that something that you guys kind of have an idea of these songs, or at the last minute does something else come in? How are you guys setting that up for the tour?
Yeah, I think we this tour was unique because the record came out while we were on tour. So aside from the singles we were released, a lot of the material from the new record was still under wraps until the very end of the tour. That said, we probably played, I don't know, 5 or 6 songs for the new record. The set was like 20 songs, so we played a good number from the first full length, some from the EP, and there was some tweaking. Some songs went away, some made their way into the set. Some of the order changed. This next time we go out, we'll probably tweak it again, in part because the record's out now, so we'll maybe have a little bit more stuff from the new record in the set. But it's fun playing songs live from the new record. It's almost like the final stage in the life of discovering a song. Playing it live and feeling it out and seeing how it plays to an audience. You learn so much about a song that you can't otherwise know when you take that step. So we'll look forward to doing that with some additional songs this next go around.
Well, in that same kind of vein of thought, I was wondering, are there some songs that you guys had from the EP or from Thanks for Coming that have evolved as you guys have become closer friends? I mean, obviously you met a Hedwig. There has been many years you've had friendships and the development of the band, but as you guys get to know each other better musically and just the connectivity of your friendships and kind of familydom that you're building, are there some songs that have particularly evolved and kind of maybe brought in a new life of their own while you're playing it live, or even just as you guys are rehearsing, that have really kind of morphed that you can kind of identify?
Yeah. Well, I would say we learn, like Mike said, we learn a lot when we play live. We took an early version of Blur out on the last UK tour in 21. It was more of like, heavy hitting, kind of like a little bit more in the U2 world. It was more standard and kind of it was rockin' song, but we played it live. It hadn't come out yet, and I think, I don't know, at least in my mind, it felt like we needed to go back to the drawing board, and we just stripped the same produced song down to just Mike's voice and one of Matt's synths, and we redid it as like a darker synthwave kind of, minimal track that had only a few elements on it, and it just seemed to come to life, to where that was just an example of a song that we took it out on the road, we learned from it, we came back and started over almost. And I would say Whatever Whispers, the same thing. It's that grew out of a jam Matt and I had in our studio on this old piano that we have, and we had it for a little while, and I think Matt turned us on to this band a couple of years ago called Bomba Estéreo from Brazil, a really cool Latin pop band, and I don't know, we just went back and just stripped it down again and tried a different treatment to it, and that song grew to be what it is on Come of Age, a completely different take on it. So yeah, and songs like Vicious from our first EP, I'm always taken aback every time we play it by how big it feels live and how it grows. It's got almost a life of its own. There's a few songs like that. Maybe Matt and Mike can name.
I think Offering felt that way too. Like it's that's from the new record, but playing it live, it kind of goes to another place that we only discovered playing it live. We didn't. So.
You feel the same, Matthew? Is there some that stick out, or kind of the ones that they kind of mentioned that?
Yeah, absolutely. Those songs, and then Let It Go as well as another song on the new album that we released as a single last year, I think. And it was it last year that we released it, or 2 years?
Yeah, about a year ago.
And we made some changes, kind of subtle changes, but just sort of things that I think help the song move forward. And then we have a song called Land of Make Pretend, or LOMP as the acronym. And that's what we've been playing for these meet and greet people. And that song has just gone through sort of an infinite number of rewrites and revolutions. And we may have to release an entire album of that song, just different versions, sort of an operatic version, an industrial metal version, just you name it.
Do you guys have a lot of maybe friends or other artists who have remixed some of your songs, or that you've maybe given them, some of the software to be able to go and work with that? And are there some that kind of stick out? Because I know there are some remixes that have been out. I was just curious if there's any that kind of caught y'all's attention, or that you really maybe helped work on or promote.
Yeah, I think the Ketamine remix that The Armed did certainly stands out. I don't know if you're familiar with that band, The Armed.
I'm not yet.
Check them out. They're pretty I don't know what they are. They're sort of this collective. They're like, they don't like to call themselves a band necessarily, but their remix of Ketamine is completely sick. And so is Brandon Boast, our mix engineer. He did a remix of Ketamine that's quite beautiful in a very different sort of way. Very poignant and very beautiful.
Nice. Any other ones jumping out for the other guys, or?
That's the song that, we actually, as a kind of experiment, did an EP of, what was it, 4 remixes of Ketamine. And there's is it Fika Is My Name? From Finland. They actually opened for us for some of our European dates. They did a remix of that song for us, but that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, I think we'd all be interested in doing that with with some other tracks, or not doing it, just sort of giving it to people to do what they will with. It's really
Yeah.
interesting to see what comes of that.
Oh, some of my buddies in Pendulum had done the same thing. They had, I guess, a certain number of like records that they had on their that they had to put out with their record company, and they're like, okay, we're going to do a remix stuff and just send it out to everyone. It's just really neat to see other people's iterations of what they're putting together.
Yeah.
Kind of a question I had about y'all's gear, and like I used to play in a live PA band and like electronic dance music stuff, and a lot of times, when I'm performing for the record, there's a bunch of different instrumentation, and whenever you go to play live, there was usually two, maybe three of us, and we had to have something to help kind of facilitate all those other sounds that were maybe on the album. So I was kind of curious about what you guys are doing as far as your setup, maybe what software you're running, and what kind of gear do you have. I know, maybe start with you, Peter. I know you've got, it looked like a Roland kit there, and then you have, what is that, the kind of an Octopad, something on the side. I was kind of curious what it is that you're running, and then we'll jump to you guys as well.
Yeah, nice one. We did, yeah, because we record in Union Square, New York, in like a residential building, which we get a lot of noise complaints, and I have a V drum set Roland kit in there, so it just allows me to be able to practice and play drums in New York City, which would be impossible with real drums. So
Right.
The cool thing about the V drums is it's got the brain on it, and just change, between like an 808 kit or like, a 909 or any kind of like weird electronic sound, or I can put my own sounds in from the record, and a lot of real drum sets on there. And yeah, that is an Octopad as well. And those were just things that I had laying around the studio, and they've sort of evolved into being part of our sound. And that, when we first started making music, we never set out to be any kind of band. We just used whatever shit we had laying around the studio, both of our studios, Matt's and mine. And we have an old piano that's sitting in the studio that is a half step out of tune and just sounds like 100-year-old piano that ends up on a lot of our recordings, just because that's the piano we have.
It's there, so, right? Yeah,
it's there. Yeah, and I mean, I think looking ahead to new stuff, we'll probably look forward to getting into another studio space with a bunch of different sounds and bunch of different colors on our palette. And I'll let Matt tell you about that. Matt's the genius behind how we do a lot of this stuff live with his computers. And
yeah. So thanks, Peter. Yeah, thanks for that introduction. Yeah. What did you use, George? First, what kind of song?
I had a TD-20 whenever I was there, and a TD-10 previous to that. Whenever I was performing, I was doing live percussion, and then we had a laptop running Logic, and then my bandmate would play guitar, grab the bass. He later had a brain tumor, which kind of made him not be able to use motor function in his left hand. So we had to kind of adapt a little bit more and kind of have a lot of samplers and different sequencers that were kind of playing that music. But it was mainly just two of us, and he did a lot of vocals. I did some MC style work and things, but every show was a little bit different, but we kind of had to adapt. And, I remember hearing a story about how you now use the MIDI plugin on your keytar because sometimes the MIDI had gone out and things like that. So I'd heard about different bands that have to deal with these things live. And I was kind of curious, are you using a laptop? Do you have something as a backup? And what do you kind of, what are you forming when you're kind of producing these songs, redoing them live?
Yeah, totally. What I love about that stuff is every band, a lot of bands do some kind of software sampling or sequencing, but everyone does it slightly differently. Like everyone kind of does it in their own way, which is really interesting. And the way they integrate it with the live show is really cool. So I play with a Roland Phantom keyboard. It's the G series, which is an older keyboard, but I like it a lot. And that's sort of the main keyboard sounds. Then the keytar is plugged in via MIDI cable into that keyboard, which so the keytar is drawing the sounds from that keyboard, which was also kind of a necessity thing where we just didn't have enough inputs to accommodate adding another the keytar inputs. So we're using the Phantom inputs for that. But luckily the sounds are great, I think. And then as far as sequencing, Ableton Live has been sort of there since the beginning. It's just sort of super easy, super. I started using Cubase, like that was the first DAW that I learned on. And Cubase is great, but it's kind of laborious, and Ableton is quick and simple, and it's super fun to do. So yeah, that's the vibe now.
Nice. And then you're playing bass on some tracks, guitar on as well. I mean, I saw the acoustic guitar. I know that's probably for, the VIP meet and greet, but are you bringing that on stage live when y'all are playing some tunes as well?
Yeah, the acoustic we use for the song Beja,
Mm-hmm.
which starts with this big rock guitar intro, and everyone's hands go up in the air. It's like one of those kind of moments. So yeah, we do it with that, and it's also just great to have an acoustic guitar around, because then that if everything else goes to shit, hey, at least we have an acoustic guitar.
Well, and I think, Peter, you were doing some thigh drumming on one of the recordings I saw too. So I expect a thigh drum solo at one of these shows that I go to. I definitely want to see that.
Hell yeah, George. That's kind
Good deal. Michael, are you having any effects processors, any foot pedals or things you're operating, or is there someone who's behind the mixing board kind of running any type of effects on your vocals?
Yeah, that's our sound guys doing that. Early on, I sang for this CC Helicon thing that would try to like simulate if there were things on the recording where I was singing in two octaves at once, I would mess with it to try to achieve that. But we were able to get a little more sophisticated with that, and so yeah, I'm standing behind all this mat in front of all this madness with just my microphone because I'm a tech tard.
When I was kind of curious, I mean, obviously you've performed in Broadway shows, you've done things, musically before, obviously working in Lazarus, and previous performances of being on stage or being behind the camera. And I was curious, is this your first band to be in, or have you played in other bands before?
No, this is it. I mean, I guess technically the first band that I fronted was the band in Hedwig and the Angry Inch,
Right.
the Broadway show where I met Peter,
Mm-hmm.
and where Peter subsequently reintroduced himself to Matt. And I mean, that was kind of a catalyst for the three of us meeting and for this all happening. So that gave me a taste for it. But no, it's I always did a lot of singing growing up from the time I was in a boys choir before my voice changed, so a long time ago, and have sang as an actor, as you
Mm-hmm.
said, but yeah, never been in a band. It just didn't sort of fall that way until it did. But
It's a
it's
great
not
first band.
something that yeah, it's not something I ever anticipated would happen. It's just total good fortune, serendipity. That I hooked up with these guys, and that we found that we were able to somehow, without thinking too hard about it or talking too much about it, make songs together.
Well, walk me through maybe that idea of like how you guys, obviously you're working together on the project, but then did somebody say, you know what, we should jam together? Like, hey, why don't we come over here and see what we can do together? And then what did that first time musically, look like? Did you guys have some songs that you had maybe pre-recorded that you brought to the table, or did you guys sit down and talk about an idea of kind of maybe what you wanted to do, or was it just kind of super organic and just happened and you're just hanging around one day and poof, the band began?
a little bit of that. Yeah, Matt and I went on the Hedwig tour after the Broadway show closed, and we just got really close and enjoyed each other's company so much when we got back to New York. I think just started hanging out at the studio, and we're both musicians, so inevitably we just pushed record, and it caught a lot of those early jams that we made together. And one of them was called Love American Style on our first EP, and another one was Vicious. I think Mike and I had dinner one night, and I brought him back to the studio and I played him the instrumentals, and he noticed there was no vocals and just offered to throw some vocals down. And very shortly after that, he was in the studio. I think he wrote some lyrics on the subway ride downtown, and we put vocals on Love American Style first. And it was just, I mean, I guess, there is something to that first time, first kiss thing of it all. And I don't know, it was so beautiful and so unexpected, I think is the word that Matt and I would use as well, just to send that track around at the end of the day being like, what the hell is this? Like, whatever it is, let's just keep doing it. And we did Vicious, and then, pretty soon we just had like 4 or 5 songs, and then we had 10, and we were like, wait, what's happening here? Like, we were literally playing catch up the whole time. And it was kind of fun because that's happened very few times in my life, in my creative life. It's so much of it is, hey, let's do this, or let's do that, or you want to do this, and what should we do? This one, we feel like we've all been playing catch up to this energy that we're, obviously we're in it, but I also feel like it's bigger than all 3 of us. And we're just kind of pinching ourselves to be able to create together. And it's hard to talk about. We don't really enjoy figuring out why, but we are also like, what the hell is going on here? And now we have like 30 something songs, and it's just like, holy shit, this is awesome. A really unexpected life gift.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. And you guys put out, I mean, Come of Age is a wonderful album. I'm just blown away by it. And I kind of wanted to ask a question too about the idea of the design and the cover. I believe it was Tim Richardson that you guys worked with, and also did some work with the Shimmer video, if I'm correct there. And then I was kind of curious how you guys connected with him, how that connection came about, and then maybe if one of you guys wants to tackle the idea of the imagery of the album and your transition from Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum to Princess Goes. That imagery, from what I remember, was like kind of an unspoken synergistic sequence of events. Then that, because I feel like symbolically there's something that somebody, if they wanted to, could draw into that imagery for the idea of the transition of the name. And so, if y'all can kind of maybe tackle that question and run with that, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, we had an acquaintance in common who thought that Tim might be an interesting candidate to do a video for us, and invited him to see us play. And he liked the show, and we gave him a number of tracks, and he responded to Shimmer as one that he wanted to explore making a video for. It was a video that originally was going to be a lot less involved in terms of the graphics and the post-production element, but he just got inspired to run with this idea, and we were like, yeah, man, run with it. And I remember he would tell us about it, and he would send these little mock-ups that looked like a sort of like bad video game from the 80s, and he was just like, trust me, all these blanks are going to get filled in. And then when he showed us the final video, it was just like kind of mind-blowing. But in addition to making that video, he also came up with that image of the skull made of like these albino butterflies and this crown of golden butterflies, and he did all that at a time before we decided to shorten the name. But yeah, it did turn out that it was kind of a perfect image to transition to the shorter name. And I mean, I don't think we're necessarily saying that the butterflies are dead, but there's there's something about that image that I feel like does, and the same goes for the video. He just sort of intuited something about the feel of that song that felt totally right, and the image of that skull feels simultaneously foreboding and beautiful and heavy and dark and also kind of light. And I'd like to think that maybe those kind of juxtapositions or extremes are alive in our music. My dog's barking. But it's just another kind of, or like a really primary example of collaborating with someone and just letting them run with their inspiration because of an intuitive sense that they kind of get us. And everything Tim came up with is sort of next level and very much just in sync with our sensibility in ways that we couldn't have described to him or, given him an assignment to come up with. He just kind of got it.
Well, that kind of feels like what you guys are talking about just as your formation and you guys all coming together, and that there's something that's going and almost feels like it's kind of pulling you along and you have this connectivity of it. And that may be just kind of another kind of, layer of that with someone like Tim coming in, that this thing is just pulsing and y'all are just enjoying it and going for the ride. So yeah, sometimes it's neat to when those pieces fall in the right place and kind of help paint that picture, figuratively and literally, so to speak. So
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I like that. That's great. One last question for each of you guys, if you wouldn't mind. I was kind of curious, if you were to bring one musician into the band to collaborate on a song or two, who would that be for each one of you?
Alive or dead, or
Yeah. Go ahead. Alive or dead. You're like, I have two different people.
That's a good question.
I'd say Donnie McCaslin. He is the band leader of the band that played the music on the Black Star album, David Bowie's last record, and he's just a phenomenal saxophone player and musician and improvisational player, and he plays in a way that's pretty otherworldly, and yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with him.
He's amazing.
That's maybe even something that could happen.
Okay. There we go. Planting the seed.
I don't know about that.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. Let's
Nice.
make it happen. I think there's so many. I saw Depeche Mode last night, and so now I've sort of been having them on the brain. Obviously Martin Gore or David Gahan would be pretty great to do some kind of collab with. I'll put that out there. But also the Polish artist named Hania Rani, who is just incredible. And I feel like she would also go really well with what we do. She's an electronic and piano artist.
Awesome. What about you, Peter?
Mike and Matt gave such good, cool answers that I'm going to go straight up cheesy and just say, if we could get Taylor Swift in the room and just play anything she wants or sing anything she wants, I think that would, like every band, we're struggling to be heard and be seen. And I mean, not struggling, but our challenge is to, we want to get as many ears as we can on our music and share this music with as wide of a community as we can. And I think nobody's got as much reach as her right now. So I'm just going to go with her just selfishly because I want to get people to know about this band,
Give us a chance, Taylor. If you hear this, give us a chance.
George, make it happen, man.
I'm going to make some phone calls, man. I'm going to send this through. My buddies, I mentioned the band earlier, Pendulum. They actually did a cover of one of Taylor's tracks, and I guess they responded to her. So maybe I'll call my buddy KJ, the drummer, and be like, all right, make this happen, guys. Come on. So
yeah, and no disrespect, I want to say I'm a fan of hers. I think she's incredible, and she writes her own songs, and she's a real deal. It's like, so you put that in there too.
Yeah, it doesn't have like 23 producers on one track. Yeah, no, it's always nice to see. Well, guys, I really appreciate y'all coming out and joining the Son of a Blitch podcast. Definitely want to have you guys out again. When you're on tour, I'm going to come and try to check out a set. Really want to see you guys live. Before we go, if you guys can go ahead, throw your socials out there, website where people can go and kind of jump on this train where they can go and get tickets to be able to see you. I know you got November, or is it December and January dates coming up here on the U.S. tour, the first leg? And, how can people go ahead and kind of follow this journey and join along as well?
Yeah, it's princessgoes.com, and Instagram is Princess Goes Official. So Twitter, YouTube, Princess Goes Official, all that stuff.
Wonderful. Well, guys, thanks once again for joining, and best of luck and on the rest of the tours that you got going on. And thanks again for sharing this amazing music you guys came up with, and you guys and sharing your talents on everything you've done. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you, George.
Talk to you,
Cheers.
man.
All right. Y'all take care.
You too, man.